Hi folks, and welcome back to Fishing with Dan. Well, if you've been watching my videos over the past few months, you'll know that I've built this new fishing seat box, and I built it about 6 months ago. I've done a video to show you all about it, and I've also done a series of videos to show you exactly how to build it. So I'll put links to those. There'll be a pop-up coming up shortly, and also I'll put some links down in the description box down below so you can click on those if you want to see them. What I didn't get to show you at the time was things like the side trays down here, the accessories which you can probably see behind me down here, and of course we've got the trolley just off to my left here, which is also a platform. So the idea today then is to just give you a quick look at the box itself, how things have been set up, what went right, did anything go wrong, a few modifications along the way, and I'll just discuss a few of the comments that people have come up with during the course of the building videos. Okay, so let's start at the beginning then with the initial setup. I built the front plate, so it's the lift up version, as you can see here, and it just sits on the box in the normal way. I could have built a slide out one, but I like the idea of the lift up one because it gave me a bit more space for my legs. It locks down with these knobs here, and that's not going to go anywhere now. The legs themselves are all fully adjustable with the knobs at the front. I didn't make the outer legs adjustable because I don't need them to adjust. Just the inner legs are adjustable, and that's proven fine so far. I've actually adjusted these to accommodate this piece of ground, but if we can just bring the camera around this side a second, around here, you'll notice that this leg isn't actually on the ground. And if I sit on the box, it still isn't on the ground, and it's actually very, very stable. So, really, I suppose I've obviously made this box quite robust, and potentially I could remove those two legs altogether. Not sure that I will, just because I'm actually over 200 pounds in weight and I want to be on the safe side, and the box is pretty lightweight anyway compared with a lot of the ones out the market. Overall, I think it weighed about 13 kilos as it stood. Some of the ones out on the market are about 18 kilos, so I'm already quite light. And just while we're on the subject of setting the box up and getting it level, I was actually going to fit spirit levels like they do on the expensive boxes, but I found this thing in the local DIY store. As you can see, it gives me lateral and forward and rear, and all I do is drop the legs to accommodate. Its side to side is now centered, the front to rear is a little bit forward, but that's how I like my box set up. And then at the back there's another bar there which I put this on, and that's it done. So I just keep this inside the box in the top tray, and that's it out of the way. Kept it nice and simple for me. Okay, so just a quick overview now of the box itself, just so that you know where we're at. As I say, I did do a proper video on this and how it was set up back at the very start, so by all means feel free to look at that one. But let's just have a quick look at where we are now and what issues I've had. Starting at the top, this grey seat works really well. I think I mentioned that the old one had a black seat, and when it's in the summer, the black gets really hot. The grey has been nice and cool, so my rear end has been pretty comfortable. Inside the box, I've got the deeper area here, which has all sorts of items. This area contains most of my camera equipment, like the GoPro, so you can't see it because I'm using it. On the other side, I didn't really need to take up the height of the box, so I created this top tray to come out, and now that just contains floats I don't use quite as much as the others, and also some bits and bobs that go into the top here. Again, these are batteries for cameras. Locking pins hold the drawers in place, and those, I've been using those for about 30 years. They've never broken or caused me any sorts of problem whatsoever. But let me just turn the whole box around so you can see the other side and the drawers. So here's the drawers. Now, people did say right from the outset, why would you put drawers on the back of the box? Well, it's quite simple. When I'm sitting on the front of the box, if I pull the drawers out, then I have to move my legs. Whereas if I have them on the back, I can leave them sitting out like that. I can rest other things on them as I need to. These contain just all the sorts of things that you'd have as a normal angler, so I won't bother you with any particular detail. I did actually create myself another little section down here with a pull out tray just because I could. And then down here, this is a winder's tray, and on this side this is kind of wagglers, and now I make all my own wagglers, so you may well be aware. So these bodies tend to be used for lots of different purposes. I may use them with these little thin tips, or it could end up with big thick tips or long tips, but the good news is they're all interchangeable. And again, I've done videos on these sorts of things if you want to build these yourselves. Right, one thing that did go slightly wrong was when I sat down on the box, or when I moved, there was an awful creaking sound, and it sounded awfully like what you'd expect from passing wind, which was a bit embarrassing. So I had to edit a few times on the fly just to make sure it wasn't so embarrassing. And what that was caused by was the plywood coming into contact with the metal here, the aluminium, and then as I moved it just creaked. So because I can just turn this box around or whatever, I just decided to just put a couple of dabs of glue on the bottom. Now it's in this position, it's not going to move for me, so I've just left it there, put the dabs of glue on, and that's resolved that problem. So continuing with the setup then, we've got side trays. Now as you can see, I've built two side trays. You don't have to build two, I just happen to like one either side, and they fit neatly into my carry-all. And the good thing that turned out from this was that they become storage in their own right. If I undo the knobs here and take out my specially designed Go Faster retaining devices, which just go on the side, you can see now, oops, dropped the thing out, doesn't normally happen, but of course this is the video. So there's my side tray, and they actually, this is the right front, sorry, they go on like this and just lock down with the knobs. Now the good news is that I put ground bait on here, and these are actually really solid. Obviously this one goes on the other side, and as I said, it's also storage for all sorts of other accessories. So we'll get to those in just a second. I'll just move this out of the way a sec. Right, those are some things I use for holding a pole on with, but the first one is this. This is a landing net rod rest. I didn't show anyone this previously. There was no point in really doing a video on it, but it just fits in there like that. And if I get a landing net, this is obviously shortened because of the fence, but that now sits like that. It actually sits on the bag normally, but it sits like that and it's out of the way. I could have had it in between here, but it kind of gets in the way, so I like it just here. On the other side, again, I didn't show you this, but I made this pole roost. And all that happens is, this goes in like that, and they go in the sides. These have screwed themselves in a little bit, like that, and lock down. Now obviously, if this was a pole top kit, for example, that would sit in there, but I can get rods or poles or whatever on there. And again, assuming this is a top kit, as you can see, I can put it down and it doesn't overhang the main tray. You've got room to get your hand in here, and it's just basically keeping everything out of the way. This is just one I use for my cameras, so I'll discard that for the moment. But also, this is my feeder rest. Now originally when I made this, it was extendable here. But basically that just sits on top of the leg here, screws down in whatever position you want. Then I go to this side. This is the backrest for it, and in the tradition of me making everything myself, that's just the rear rest for it. So that just goes in like that, and then as you can see, the rod goes in quite neatly. Now I'm actually hitting the side of the house there, I just shot, but you get the idea. So it's a crossways, and it means I can get a good angle out to the feeder. So that's the feeder rest. Let's now talk about the main waggler rest, and we'll use this feeder rod in a second for that. Put that over there. I also made this rod rest. This is the one I use for the waggler rod, as I say, but I also use it for the feeder when I'm on the tidal rivers, so I can keep the rod up in the air. Now obviously I bought the head of the thing, and also this was an old bank stick which I just utilised because it was handy. Other than that, I made all this up, and there is a video to show you how to do this. And what happens is that this little clamping mechanism here goes on around like that. This sits down, locks off, and then I can adjust it up or down to accommodate whatever I need on the day. As far as the rear rest goes, I could have put it on my leg, but sometimes I'm not fishing matches so much anymore, so I get lazy. This goes on the rear leg, screws down, again completely homemade. This is just some 16mm tube, 6mm thick aluminium, solid aluminium, with some of that hollow plastic you can buy in aquarium shops. So the rod would go on here, and as you can see, it's nice and comfortable to use. So the next item on the agenda then is the pole support bar. Just fits on with these two knobs here, and you can adjust it up and down, and you can also adjust these forward legs up and down. I made this out of Evo, which I bought from a store which sold some sort of kids tiles or something or other. And I could just sit there with my pole under my legs here, but I decided that I'd got some good results from an old version of one of these rear support straps made out of wood, so I decided to make a proper one. And that fits on to the front of the box here and just screws down. And I find this really useful actually, because again, if you watch the videos regularly, you'll know I've got arthritis, so if I just screw that in, that's it. And then if I'm using the pole, and it's quite a long pole, my thumbs have this real pain in them when it's especially a thick section of pole, so I can put that under the rear section there, and I can rest it on the support bar and use it in that way. Now one thing that I did need to change, or to add to, was to go back to something I've done in the past. A lot of you will be aware of a thing called a bump bar, which has basically grooves in this front area here, and that's, if it's windy, it stops the pole from shaking around and moving. So I've just created these, just like a peg, just goes in, and then the pole stops against the peg there. There's another one this side if I want it, but normally the wind's only going one way, but it does mean you can keep the thing in one place, and you don't have to lift the pole and do this to do it. You can allow it to go down, and if you're fishing a river, this is actually quite helpful, because you can trot down like this, and then when you wanted to stop at the end of the swim, you just put your peg in and that's it. Again, it's covered with the tubular plastic stuff that you get from the aquarium shops, and it's just a piece of 6mm aluminium. The rear rest, as I say, is detachable, so I don't always use a pole, so it's quite handy to have that on there. And to be honest, it was just too difficult to make a loop on the upholstery. I didn't have the ability to do that really, so that's the pole rest. So we're nearly finished on the box itself now then, guys. We should mention this keep net arm, which just goes onto the leg here and screws up tight. I've also got this stub here which just screws onto the keep net and then goes in and locks in place. Now I have intended to make a second one of these, and it'll obviously have to go on there, or I may have to make some sort of support bar. I haven't quite decided how I'm going to do that yet, because I haven't actually had the need for two keep nets recently. In the main these days I'm not fishing too many matches, as I said, and I don't use a keep net when I'm pleasure fishing normally, very occasionally, so this has been fine so far. But when the next festivals come up and I'm going to need a couple of keep nets, I'll figure out some kind of a bar mechanism for that. As far as the overall box goes, I'd have to say I'm really pleased with it. Luckily I had all that sort of 30 years of experience of building these things, and so there shouldn't have been too many problems at all. The one thing that has irritated me a little bit is that I had these black plastic caps in the end, down on the end of all of the tubes, as you can see down here, but the ones I put on the ends of the accessory bars, because they have this slot in them to be able to squeeze in, they actually squeezed the black plastic end caps off. So, bit of an irritation, not the end of the world, I'll live with that. Okay, so that's the main box and accessories covered. Now I'm just going to very quickly cover this combined trolley and platform unit. Obviously it's in trolley mode at the moment with the wheels on, and we've got the handle attached. If I want to make it a platform, this would be used, my box just sits on the top, and it would be used in the event that I decided to put my box into really deep water. And I don't know how often I'll do that, but you know, it's one of those things where if you can build it, why not? Anyway, probably more likely get used as a platform, as you can see here. Again, legs are fully adjustable in the same way as the other ones, and they're made in an identical fashion. Again, there is a video on this, so I'm not going to go into any more detail than that. I'm more than happy with it. It's proven its worth so far. So in terms of the complete package, yep, it's all kind of worked out really well. I've got no real complaints apart from that little bit about the plastic end caps, but that's okay, nothing to worry about. So really, I'm hoping that this will give me about another 10 or 20 years of good service, and well, I'll probably do an update again in 3 or 4 years time for you. You never know though, I might have built another box by then. So that's it guys, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, as always, click the like button. If you want to subscribe, you can do that too. And until the next time, bye for now.